Shalom, my friends, and I'm here to tell you about the best post-nuclear rabbi simulator, Price for Freedom, Avarice. Now, Price of Freedom Avarice is the long-awaited spin-off game in the Fallout series, going back to its classic and actually good RPG roots, and it's set in the most anticipated and long-awaited areas in the Fallout universe, Israel. All Fallout lore historians know that Israel started the thermonuclear war when it attacked nuked the Gaza Strip to eradicate bacon-based weaponry. Anyway, the story is based on the early political career of Boris Johnson, and it's actually set in the Price of Freedom cinematic universe that has a webcomic that is surprisingly nice. In this universe, the Israeli High Rabbi, after blowing up the entire fucking world, used Jewish magic to make a shit ton of different races to repopulate the world. There are way too many races with too much backstory to explain in this video, but luckily they are all explained in game with a lot of lore. Like, a lot of lore. Like, a lot. Now let's get into the meat and potato of the game. And when I mean meat, I obviously mean the studio behind the game. Knowing the caliber of the studio really puts the rest of the game in perspective. Now, for a fully open world RPG, they probably have some major funding from Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, nah, considering they have less money than a Chechen child disability allowance, don't expect any major cutscenes or voice dialogue. But somehow, they have 7 people working on it, and they did a stellar job. And they're super fucking friendly too. Like, one of the devs answered my questions. Me! And I'm a meth dealer. I really recommend joining their Discord, and they would definitely answer all your questions and issues. And they're just a really good group of people. And before we go on, let me say, this game is nowhere near finished. The dev said it's about halfway done, and a full release will be on Steam, but right now it's on the itch launcher. If you want me to make a video on how to get X-rated games on the itch launcher, just tell me, don't worry. JH's got you covered. Oh, and another thing about this game, it is free, however there's a sizable amount of content reserved for Patreons only. And because I am professionally broke, I do not have the Patreon version, so I can only review the default free version. Okay, that's all. Like I said, it is one of the best entries into the Fallout series and a better RPG than Fallout 4. No cap. And it's a better RPG than other games made by a certain studio. Sorry, I mean Active Terracell. The game is so well produced and it is distractingly good, and it cases the player into the internal struggle between deep and interesting quests with different outcomes and big mommy milkers. And that is not a joke. There is points in this game where I straight up skip the sex scenes just to get into that fat and juicy story. The prologue is the perfect microcosm for this gleeful problem I have with this game, but spoiler warning ahead, so skip to here if you want to keep that twist nice and fresh. Our story starts with our hentai protagonist, Boris Johnson, fleeing from the militaristic and dogmatic Redlands, aka the north of England. We do not know the reason why he left yet, but we can only guess he had to flee after saying something positive about the NHS. Anyways, we just know that he's traveling past the mountains to a land called Al-Qaeda, aka London, to seek refuge from the Labour Party and to start a new life. He wakes up in the London Underground with a headache and meets a guy called Saeed, who is a slaver, so a pretty normal ride. Unfortunately for Boris Johnson, he has to go through the decrepit wasteland of Peckham, South London, to get to his journey's end. Effectively, his carriage is ambushed by roadmen looking to shank the man down for his jewels and that. You and Saeed pull out your swords and clap back at the man before you get surrounded by captured by the roadmen, who put you in a cell with a lady elf who's seriously nonchalant about the whole getting robbed and kidnapping. As you do. She says it's because she is a member of the upper class and she's used to these situations. And nah, who cares? She's pretty hot. Let's just go and escape. So she straight up opens the fucking locked door. Pretty normal. And you sneak out and grab your sentimental and very special weapon. It's at this point you can return to clap back at the driller with the keys and free Saeed. Or just book it. But me? I'm not leaving my mandem in the ends, forced to listen to people's shitty drill mixtapes. So I bust man out and we make our escape into the basement of the church they make camp in. But it turns out the basement is your typical South London crack den. And like your typical South London crack den, it has monstrous creatures and the undead coming back from life using the power of ketamine. You and Saeed either sneak past or stab all the South London residents to free them. Well, kinda. It's behind a door that's rusted shut, but you're no longer at risk from the chemically diverse residents. And Saeed, with the perfect timing, leaves you and Rich Elf time to set up camp. And of course, she pins you to the fucking floor with ungodly strength and starts talking dirty to you. Pretty normal. And then as she's banging the fuck out of you, she reveals that she's the demonic being of immense power called Lady Wolf, aka Princess Diana, who has ambitions to become the political master of Al Qaeda by overthrowing the Queen of England and get a revenge for almost killing her in a car crash. Then she just gets up, says that you work for her now, and then if you have a problem with it, or you tell anyone else, goodbye your dick and your pulse, and fucking blows open the rusted door, and then Saeed comes back, and the fucking G he is, it's just like, yeah, I left you two alone to fuck. Then you just leave and go to Al Qaeda. Now, let's confuse the people that skipped. So the Israeli Defense Force came in handy and stopped dripped off them from getting the Dragon Balls, and Black Ops 4 was Thanos out of the zombies timeline. But you see my point, right? What are you more interested in? The story of political dominance or the story of sexual dominance? I don't fucking know, but both are really fucking interesting. So what do you actually do in Fallen Israel? Well, quests. It's an RPG. True to the premise, you are a nobody trying to make a new life in this new land. You do jobs for people and you introduce yourself and become friends with the local female population. But the beta cock population and the drillers from the ends will and do try to stab you. But you follow the wise words of Cosmo Kiryu and you stay strapped and usually get into combat. Is that a segue into combat? You bet your snake tail it is. Combat in this game is surprisingly deep for a hentai game. Like really fucking deep. Like deeper than a snake tail in your mom. The first thing you gotta talk about is difficulty. You see that screen? It lies to you. It is not your friend. Let me alter this. Easy is normal. Normal is hard. And hard is Dante must die, try not to be gay for Kiryu difficulty. Yeah, it's very difficult. I would try to explain the combat, but honestly, I don't really know. I know the majority of it, but I'm not expert in it. But yo, there's not a tutorial in the game right now. So Uncle Jay will show you the way. Need somebody to fucking help with this. What to do when Vikings attack. Citizen, you may be in a situation where a dangerous chap might want to use violence to achieve their goals, but remain calm, as this instructional video will teach you what to do in situations like these. First step is to draw out your weapon in response to theirs. Any and all equipment that may come in hand in the ensuing battle should be readied. Second, you may notice the yellow bars at the bottom of your screen. They represent your action points. Any action you take requires action points. To move will require action points. To attack will require action points. And to patch up your bleeding limbs and cure your brain hemorrhage, you guessed it, will require action points. Keep an eye on said action points, and always keep account of how many action points you have left. Now citizen, let's say you are in a position that you want to strike back, but do not know how. Do not fret. The first thing you need to realize when attacking an enemy is that damage in this game is limb based. To do the most damage to the dead citizen in front of you, you must repeatedly hit the same limb. Study this graph, citizen. Notice the 3 values for each limb. The first value is armor, betrayed by the armored helmet. This is pretty simple. You must first destroy the armor before you can make attack on the limb proper, I think. The next stat is health points, represented by the heart. This represents how much health the limb has before it's broken. Now, you must be asking, citizen, what does breaking a limb do? Well, it significantly reduces the effective use of that limb. For example, afraid that a dead citizen will chase you as you try to retreat to heal up? Break said person's kneecaps so they can never walk properly again for the rest of their short lives, and everything they do to attempt to walk the street out in pounding pain. Like a good citizen. Last stat is the bleeding damage, represented by the blood drop. Now, citizen, I have been speculating about the other two, but this one I have no fucking idea about. But what I figured, the lower the percentage, the more bleeding damage the person takes per turn. I really have no fucking idea, and at that. Few more things to mention is that damage is not flat. It is actually dice based and similar to other games like THT, so you can only do 1 damage, you filthy casual. Now go forth, citizen, and defend yourself from violent persons and uneducated fools. May elementary fucking people off.
Don't fucking move, you communist cocksucker.
The story in this game is very good. Like I said, you play as Boris Johnson, or whatever you choose to name your character, trying to make a name for himself in his quest to become the mayor of London. The quests you do include drug deals, talking cross stations, headhunting, and fuckable snakes. Now, am I implying Boris Johnson had to fuck a snake lady to get where he is? No. I am proving it. Now, I don't really want to say more about the story, because I don't want to spoil it, but it is really quest-based. Like, overarching story, and not really existence right now. There is going to be a main quest that is nowhere near finished, I heard, and there is more of it in the Patreon version, but again, I am not reviewing that version. For an erotic game, it not only has that story, but you can play it just for the story. And the companions in this game, oh my god, mucho gusto. The companions of the game are some of the best integrated companions I've seen in a game, full stop. I'll never forget the time when I was talking to a random reptilian vendor, and then my companion Hiho, the snake lady, talked about how they kept their scales in check. It shows the level of detail they took with the companions. The companions in this game are real characters. They are not just a combat piece. They butt in when they feel like they need to say something. They talk to other companions, and everyone really. And often a companion will disapprove your actions or praise them based on their perceived notion of right or wrong.
Ha ha ha.
Women.
The visuals in this game are all hand-drawn, and I mean everything. All the enemies, all the characters, the backgrounds, everything is hand-drawn, and because of that, it really carries the style well. Every building is legit a custom-drawn building, because, again, everything is hand-drawn. So an area like the slums, where it's building upon buildings, really meshes together well, and it carries its style, where other, lesser games will present the majority of Brooklyn or Washington as the same 4 fucking buildings, copy and pasted with muted colours. Same for all the girls. And all the characters. They're all hand-drawn. I cannot, like, it's insane. There's so many visuals in this game, and someone had to knuckle down and draw them all. But instead of coming off as lazy or overworked, they really cared about the visuals, and you can see that as they never give up on their sort of cartoonish style, and more comic book style that they take directly from the webcomic. This is a game from the universe of the webcomic, you gotta remember, so it does look like the webcomic. They did a stellar job on that. The animations, all I can say is, yeah, again, you're not gonna get Levi booking it, the reason the studio dipped kind of level animations, right? Actually, a lot of them are missing straight up in the game right now, but here's serviceable, nothing bad. The sex scenes are surprisingly well animated, I gotta say, as I was not expecting to be animated, but I think the dev who answered my questions says it best when he says, we indie.
Inside anime girls. Quiver.
Music in this game is just okay. There is nothing stellar about the music, but it does its job well. The more ambient tracks have no real personality but does not detract from the experience, where the combat and texture tracks convey the emotions and nothing more. I think it'd be a lot easier if the visuals weren't so semi-stylized to begin with. To have generic tracks seems like a missed opportunity, but I mean, again, you gotta see what these guys are working with. It's not the worst. It's not gonna be the Crisis 2 theme or anything like that. They're not gonna get a Hans Zimmer on there. There isn't much more to say about it. And don't worry, guys. I won't play a sample.
スイッチオン。
Now, for the hate scenes, and yeah, they are all animated and described in detail, and they are really well done. I can't go into details because the channel is family friendly, but they are really tasteful, and the characters of those involved really shine through. You can really tell that they cared and didn't want to be just a scene full of blank actors, but something that's actively happening and impacts the worlds and impacts the characters. You know? Like an RPG. Yeah, these motherfuckers don't forget it's an RPG, even here. While $1 million public torture office forgets an RPG in the fucking dialogue system.
Ha ha ha.
Play this game, just play this game. Price of Freedom Avarice, baby, my favorite RPG in a long time. And I mean that as an RPG standpoint, let alone an erotic game. To be honest, the erotic aspect for me is probably the least appealing and least thoughtful. And that doesn't mean it's bad, it's just my priorities are in a different spot. The gameplay, I don't know if I describe it enough in this, but the combat is really fun to do. And the world is really expansive. I mean, if you're kind of like me and you want your RPG to have 542 years of history, it's something like there. Sorry if it turns into a rant, by the way, but the reason why I do compare it to Fallout so often is that it reminds me of the first two Fallout games quite a lot, with the dialogue that's branching, even though no one's gonna get the Fallout 2 dialogue. That's just a sad reality. Combat being like a proto-vats. They say it's based on Baldur's Gate. I have not played Baldur's Gate, so I cannot confirm or deny that. I presume they're being truthful, but hey, I cannot confirm or deny. The game is pretty long. If you're worried about that, I don't go into that, but it is pretty long. The music, I am a bit too harsh to the music. There is some good tracks, but the main tracks you will hear repeat and repeat and repeat, and that's when it starts to wane. I mean, they're like a minute long, and they get repeated. So if you're wondering the world, it kind of wanes on you. I don't mention that in the music, but it's 4 AM, and this is my third night staying up all night finishing this video. So I'm just getting this done. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate everyone who just spends the odd minute or two, even if I do know you all. I do appreciate everyone that watches. And I really do enjoy this whole project we got going on here. I am JJ with the Heads of Types. I really hope you enjoyed. Put a lot of work into this. Peace.